The chastity arch bestowed by the emperor had just been erected at the entrance of the ancestral hall. My sister, in-law, widowed for many years, got pregnant. She wants me to pretend to be pregnant and claim this child. I was afraid the crime of deceiving the emperor would be discovered, leading to my whole family being executed, so I gently advised her that the child couldn't be kept. Later, when I was 7 months pregnant, my husband personally forced abortion medicine down my throat, killing both me and the baby. He said, "Because of you, Ching lost the right to be a mother. I also lost my own first child. Murderers must pay with their lives." Opening my eyes again, my widowed sister, in-law, was kneeling before me, her eyes misty with tears. "Although I was defiled by bandits, the child is innocent. Sister, in-law, as a woman yourself, you should understand my reluctance. I hope you will grant my wish." "Of course I'll grant it. Since heaven let me start over. Naturally, I will avenge every grudge and settle every score. After all, murderers must pay with their lives. In my past life, I died on the day of my birthday. Fresh blood stained the entire bed red, and my husband stood right beside it. Just moments before, I was still happily admiring the birthday gift he had prepared for me. Fireworks filled the sky, dazzling and brilliant. The next moment, he forced the scalding abortion medicine down my throat. That heat scalded my throat, flowed into my stomach, and finally all turned into tears flowing out of my eyes. I wanted to question him why he wanted to harm me, but my scalded throat could only let out a hoarse he sound. Pain churned in my belly, and I used all my strength. I only prayed that my child, just over 7 months along, could be born safely. Stop struggling. This is the most potent abortifacient there is today. Not only will your child not be born, but you won't survive either. My widowed sister, in-law, Lin Ching, who was supposed to be praying at the temple outside the city with my mother, in-law, walked out of my room. She gently stroked her lower abdomen. "You venomous woman, it wasn't enough that you refused to help me back then, but you even forced me to have an abortion. What is happening today is exactly what you deserve." I was already drenched in sweat from the pain, and fresh blood was pouring out of me like floodwater from an open sluice. I never knew a person could bleed so much. I looked at Zhou by the bedside, and ignoring the burning pain in my throat, hoarsely begged him, "Save the baby. He is your child too." But he just turned his head away indifferently. "It is because of you that Ching lost her chance to be a mother, and I lost my first child too. A life for a life." Lin Ching snuggled into Zhou arms and said with a smile, "Mingyue, do you still not see it clearly? Anyone can bear children for Zhou except you. It is obvious that Zhou loves me. It wasn't easy for us to conceive a child. We just wanted you to raise him. You wouldn't have had to suffer at all, and you would have gotten a child for free." Her voice was mournful and desolate, accusing me of being ungrateful and guilty of a heinous crime. "But you just wouldn't agree. I even got on my knees and begged you, but you still refused. Because of you, Zhou can never have a child with the woman he loves." She leaned close to my ear and whispered softly, "Did you really think Zhou loves you? His affection, his doting on you, and even this child. It was all just to lower your guard so our plan for revenge would be easier to carry out." So that is how it is. I closed my eyes in despair. The last thing I saw was the scene of Zhou stumbling, pretending to rush out to call a doctor, as well as Lin Ching's hypocritical wailing. "Sister, in-law, you and the child just go in peace. I'll take good care of your husband for you." Opening my eyes again, that bone, eroding pain is still there, yet I was sitting safe and sound by Lin Ching's bed. I gently stroked my flat lower abdomen, unable to tell for a moment if this was a dream or reality. The sound of soft sobbing by my ear pulled my thoughts back. "Mingyue, I really have no other choice. The baby is already over 3 months old, and the doctor says if I abort it now, I might never be able to be a mother again. Just help your sister, in-law, this one time, as long as you are willing to claim this child. I promise you, When the child is young, I will help you take care of him. And when he grows up, I absolutely won't claim him back. He will always be your child." Seeing that I remained unmoved, Lin Qingqing steeled her heart, slid off the bed, and knelt at my feet. Crying, she continued to beg. "Although my purity was stained by those bandits, the child is innocent. Sister-in-law, as a fellow woman, you should understand my reluctance to part with it. I hope you can help fulfill my wish." I hurriedly sidestepped her attempt to kneel, repeatedly saying that this wasn't right. "Sister-in-law, why go this far? You are practically shortening my life with such a gesture." In the confusion, I stepped on her delicate jade-like hand. I ground my foot back and forth with force a few times, only moving away amidst her cries of pain. Watching her covered in snot and tears, she was completely unlike the delicate beauty she was just a moment ago. The corners of my mouth curled up slightly. Sure enough, bitter crying has to look like bitter crying. Hearing the sobbing but seeing no tears fall, that is not sadness at all. Now this crying, it sounds much more sincere. I hurriedly raised my hand to help her up, constantly comforting her. "Seeing you crying like a tearful mess, sister-in-law, how could I bear to refuse? Though I've only been married into the manor for less than a month, claiming it is a premature birth when the time comes isn't impossible." Seeing signs that I was relenting, a look of joy appeared on Lin Qingqing's face. I changed my tone. "I just wonder if mother and husband know, after all. It concerns the Zhou family bloodline." They know, rest assured, sister-in-law. Mother was the one who asked me to discuss this with you." As for Brother Jing, a flash of shyness flickered in her eyes. "He always listens to me, and he cares for me the most. He definitely wouldn't have the heart to let me lose the right to be a mother." Greet. As expected, the Zhou family are all birds of a feather, ganging up just to deceive me. In my past life, I thought this was a family scandal, and feeling sorry for Lin Qingqing's situation, I didn't dare ask too much. Thinking she had only told me, I helped her think of a solution. Since I refused to help claim this child, and Lin Qingqing didn't want to give birth and give the baby away, in the end she had no choice but to drink a bowl of abortion medicine. She was afraid word would get out. After all, she had just been granted a chastity arch, so she begged me to go to the manor outside the city under the guise of worshipping the Buddha. I was afraid something would happen to her, so my heart softened, and I agreed. She bled heavily during the abortion. Later her life was saved, but she could never bear children again. I was afraid word would leak, so I dismissed the maids, stayed by her bedside, and waited on her personally for 3 days. Who would have thought that in the end, I'd end up like the farmer and the snake? In this second life, I certainly won't be silly enough to help her again. Since she wants a good reputation, yet isn't willing to give up the right to be a mother, then I definitely have to fulfill her wish. I let out a long sigh, patted her hand, and said happily, "Since mother and husband both agree, then I certainly have nothing to say. It is just that, sister-in-law. Just speak your mind. We are as close as sisters. There is no need to hide anything." I nodded. "I am afraid it is going to be hard on sister-in-law for the next few months. Don't eat any nutritious supplements. After all, there is a pretty big difference in size between a full-term baby and a 7-month preemie. If we can't keep a lid on this, never mind sister-in-law's reputation getting ruined." Just speaking of the chastity arch, the emperor granted this morning, it is still standing right there outside the Zhou family ancestral hall. If someone files a report against us then, and we get convicted of deceiving His Majesty, at best it is exile. At worst it is the execution of the entire clan. Then we'd all be sinners of the Zhou family. Lin Qingqing hurriedly wiped away her tears and nodded repeatedly in agreement. I pretended not to see the disdain in her eyes. Lowering my gaze, I claimed I still had matters to attend to. And after instructing her to rest well, I turned and left. After taking a few steps out the door, I quietly circled back to stand outside the room's window. "I told you, didn't I?" she'd agree. "Just a little chit of a girl married over from the border. Her husband neglects her. Her mother-in-law dislikes her. All I had to do was show her a tiny bit of kindness, then play the victim in front of her, and she agreed. Lin Qingqing's smug voice drifted out. Immediately after, a low male voice chimed in. Sister, in-law really has a way with things. It was my husband, the one who was supposedly so busy with official duties that he slept in the study every night. No wonder you insisted. I marry a woman from the border back then, sister-in-law. Simple personality, no friends in the capital, and her maiden family is far away. She really is easier to control than those daughters from high-ranking families. Of course, I've got it all planned out. You need to be more attentive to her lately. You know how girls are. Are you sure? Don't go getting jealous later when you see the two of us getting intimate. The voices inside gradually became suggestive, intermingled with faint panting sounds. I know what is important right now. I'll persuade Mother later to hand over the household management to her. Keep her busy so the time you two can meet will be limited. Also, once she lets her guard down, make her drink the sterilization medicine. After all, she is a beautiful, lawfully wedded wife. If your acting turns real and she gets pregnant too, wouldn't that put my child in an awkward position in the future? With a smack, the sound of a palm slapping against flesh rang out. Then Lin Qingqing let out a soft cry. What are you doing? Keep it down. It is fine. I've sent everyone away. They won't be back until tomorrow morning. Zhou Jing complained with dissatisfaction. You heartless thing. Don't you know who has been in my heart since we were kids? Otherwise, would I still be without a wife or concubine at my age? If you hadn't gotten pregnant by accident and wanted to keep the child, would I have married Zhang Mingyu? So that explains it. No wonder in my past life after sister-in-law and I returned home, my husband suddenly became affectionate towards me. And with Lin Qingqing's strong recommendation, my mother-in-law even handed the household management rights over to me. I always thought this was her gratitude to me. Turns out this was just her means of revenge. The panting in the room gradually grew heavier, accompanied by the sound of tearing silk, along with Lin Qingqing's constant reminders. Gently, gently, be careful of the baby. I clutched my chest and left in a hurry. I was afraid if I listened any longer, I'd throw up right on the spot. My marriage to Zhou Jing started with him asking for my hand. He told me straight out that it was love at first sight, and begged to see me every day. Back then, my father and brother had just won a victory. The emperor was overjoyed and summoned my father and brother to the capital to receive their awards. Seeing that I was of marriageable age, my mother took me along, hoping to use the chance to find a good match. I grew up at the border, so I was free, spirited, and didn't sweat the small stuff. Although my father was a great general, he was stationed at the border all year round and didn't take sides politically. For the noble families in the capital, we weren't exactly considered a good match. Of course, it wasn't like there were none at all, but compared to those declining families or rich playboys, Zhou Jing's family was prestigious, and his household was clean, making him stand out as even more outstanding. My parents had sent people to inquire. The eldest son of the Zhou family, who should have inherited the title, died accidentally while away on business 10 years ago. The title then fell to Zhou Jing, and his wife married for only 6 months, never remarried. She remained a widow at home, guarding his spirit tablet, famous in the capital for her unyielding chastity. Recently, Zhou Jing has been performing well in his duties. The emperor, recalling that his big brother died in the line of duty, and admiring the hardship his sister-in-law endured staying faithful all these years, specially ordered the Ministry of Rights to grant a chastity arch. As a sign of recognition, I reckon it won't be long before the arch is finished and delivered. My parents felt that, in this era where women aren't required to remain chaste widows, the fact that the Zhou family's eldest sister-in-law could go to such lengths shows that the Zhou family must treat their daughters-in-law well. So my parents were very satisfied with this marriage. The only thing they were a bit dissatisfied with was that Zhou Jing set the wedding date in too much of a rush. From the proposal to the wedding, all told it was just over a month. Zhou Jing, however, bowed deeply to my parents and admitted, I really do want to settle things early. After all, the border is unstable, and the general could be recalled at any time. He looked at me affectionately, staring straight at me until my face turned completely red. Then he continued, I don't want Mingyu to be left with regrets about this once. In a lifetime event because her father and brother weren't there, my parents were deeply touched. After Zhou Jing left, he couldn't help but sigh. What a thoughtful, good kid. Mother even poked my forehead and teased. If Zhou Jing hadn't delayed until he was well into his 20s to restore the family honor, how would you have managed to snag such a bargain? For a woman, getting married is like a second reincarnation. You, are a lucky girl. Only my older brother was shouting with a face full of disapproval. Smooth-tongued and scheming. If little sister marries him and he has a change of heart later, she'll definitely be bullied until there is not a scrap left. But back then, I wouldn't listen to a word of it. I just thought he couldn't bear to let his only sister get married. I returned to my room and sent a letter to my elder brother, asking him to help send over a reliable person skilled in making medicine. Then I called Yingxing over. When you have time, help me find a courtesan. Whether it is her looks or her figure, look for someone modeled after sister. In-law Zhou. Remember, she must be younger and prettier than her. After you find her, arrange for her to stay at my estate outside the city. Yingxing nodded in agreement, and didn't ask further questions. She just stepped forward to support my arm, speaking with concern. Miss, why do you look so terrible? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Miss, go lie down first. I'll go call the doctor right now. I held her hand, remaining silent for a long time. Yingxing is not just my maid. We grew up together and are as close as sisters. It was to keep me company that she stayed by my side as a dowry maid. In the previous life, she was also the first to notice something was wrong, and she wanted to rush in to save me. But he was threatened by Zhou Jing with my life, and in the end was beaten to death outside the door. My poor sister. She didn't cry out in pain even until she died, just kept begging Zhou Jing, begging Lin Qingqing. I am not asking them to spare my life. I just beg them to make it quick for me, because she knew that her sister Mingyu, who had feared nothing since childhood, was only afraid of pain. So Zhou Jing just let out a small rumor, saying there was an old doctor outside the city who had concocted a medicine that allowed women to give birth without pain. It was just that the doctor was eccentric and wouldn't sell it easily, and thus easily tricked Yingxing, who was by my side every day, into going to seek the medicine. I am fine. Sit down and keep me company. I have something to tell you. As for rebirth, although incredible, it is not like I haven't seen it in the Chronicles of Spirits. Since heaven has let me start over, naturally I will avenge every wrong and settle every grudge. The hatred of murdered kin, the pain of losing a child. In this life, it is time for them to taste it too. Starting the next day, Zhou Jing indeed came home early every day. Not only was he no longer cold. Like before, he was even more passionate than before we married. I accepted all his gestures of affection completely. To show my adoration, I would get up early every day to see him off. At night, I personally cooked his favorite food and brought it to the study. Who, in the manor, didn't look at us and envy our loving marriage and perfect harmony? There was just one thing. We still hadn't consummated the marriage. He said to me, Mingyue, although we are husband and wife, we haven't spent much time together. I hope our union is based on true love, not just for the sake of producing heirs. Let's take it slow. I have the confidence to wait until the day you fall in love with me. I spat in my heart. He sure makes it sound nice. It is obvious he likes tender, attentive, delicate, and charming women, so he looks down on me just as well. I find him disgusting too, and this saves me the trouble of finding an excuse to reject him. Our display of affection provoked Lin Qingqing. She spoke up during dinner. Mother, I haven't been feeling well lately. The doctor said I need to rest quietly for a while. Sister, in-law has been in the family for over a month now. She can start learning how to manage the household affairs. I snapped my head up. looking at everyone in shock, and waved my hands in a panic. What are you talking about, sister-in-law? I don't even recognize everyone in this manner yet. How can I take over the household management? She smiled and reassured me. It is fine, aren't I still here, sister? In-law can come ask me any time. Besides, Brother Jing is the Earl, and you are the Countess. This responsibility will fall on you sooner or later. I've just been filling in for the past few years, and now is the perfect opportunity to return it to you, but I am afraid I can't. Such an important matter. I don't have the ability to handle it. I tried my best to decline. Lin Qingqing persuaded me with a few words, then immediately swept a glance toward Zhou Jing. So Zhou Jing placed a piece of fish in my bowl with his chopsticks and urged softly, "This fish is delicious. Have some more." Eldest sister, in-law is right. You are my wife sooner or later. You will have to take charge of this household. I think you can do it. Just go ahead and do it freely. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility for you. Does husband really think so? Does mother also think I can? I turned my uneasy gaze toward my mother-in-law. She gently put down her bowl and chopsticks, took the tea from the maid's hand, and rinsed her mouth. Then her gaze swept over the three of our faces in turn. I noticed that when she withdrew it, she stared briefly at Lin Qingqing's already showing belly, her brow furrowed almost imperceptibly before she spoke leisurely. Since your eldest sister, in-law and husband both believe you can do it, then give it a try. If it doesn't work, just wait until your sister, in-law recovers, and hand it back to her. This meant that only during the few months of Lin Qingqing's pregnancy would I be the one in charge. Then this daughter, in-law, will certainly not let you down. I pretended not to hear the implication, hurriedly agreeing with joy, my eyes filled with fighting spirit. I even stood up and curtsied to Lin Qingqing. Sister, in-law, I have a presumptuous request. Zhou Jing works hard and often sleeps in the study at night. Could I trouble you to take care of him in my stead for the time being? My request was exactly what they wanted. Lin Qingqing and Zhou Jing exchanged a glance, the delight in their eyes almost overflowing. No need for this. We are all family. In the end, it was Zhou Jing who pulled me down to sit while teasing with a smile. Then the affairs of the manor will be in your hands from now on, madam. The meal was eaten in perfect harmony. Zhou Jing thought he had coaxed me well these past few days. When we parted, he immediately found an excuse to leave with Lin Qingqing, from start to finish. He never noticed that I hadn't even touched the fish he served me. This thoughtfulness was laughably perfunctory. I didn't even know that I don't like fish. Sadly, in my past life, I was immersed in this fake thoughtfulness and ended up losing my life for it. Actually, taking over the household management wasn't hard for me. After all, I've been good at calculations since I was young. Sometimes, when the army was short-handed, I was the one managing the logistical supplies and distribution. But I had to make them lower their guard after all. I am just a not-so-clever little girl. So, I took the maids and stewards to Lin Qingqing's courtyard every day to ask for advice. Her pregnancy condition was already poor, and to prevent the fetus from growing too large, she didn't dare eat or drink freely. Her daily diet was even worse than before. At night, she still had to go to the study to take care of Zhou Jing. In just a few short days, she became sallow and emaciated, no longer having her previous radiance. And Zhou Jing couldn't accompany her every day. As time went on, things started getting unpleasant between them. Whenever Zhou Jing got annoyed with her, he'd find an excuse to stay by my side. It wouldn't take long before Lin Qingqing's maid came rushing over in a panic to fetch him. Often, once he left, he'd be gone all night. When I went to visit the next day, Lin Qingqing said to me, filled with guilt, "Sister-in-law, you've never been pregnant, so you wouldn't know. This child acts up a lot at night. I really couldn't take it anymore, and it wasn't right to disturb you and mother's rest. I had to trouble Brother Jing. Actually, you don't know. I was only 16 when I married into this family, just 2 years older than him. In this household, we're close in age and we get along the best." She looked at me, with a hint of showing off. Later, when his older brother passed away unexpectedly, my maiden family had already fallen into decline. He made the call to let me stay as the mistress of the house, and he has been even more considerate and attentive to me since. After all these years, he is used to taking care of me, and momentarily forgot that he is a married man himself. That is why he often stays the whole night. Don't worry, I'll tell him later to come here less, and spend more time with you. I shyly declined. Sister, in-law, your situation is special, so it is only right that my husband takes extra care of you. I've been busy lately too. My husband doesn't know the first thing about household affairs, and having him around just gets in my way. So if you can make use of him, please don't stand on ceremony. Just consider it doing me a favor. Hearing my words, Lin Qingqing was obviously much more relieved. In my past life, because I fell in love with Zhou Jing, I always wanted to stick with him, but the more I was like that, the more he actually liked Lin Qingqing, whom he couldn't see. Zhou Jin didn't even have a bed warmer before or after the marriage, and he even refused when I offered to take a concubine for him after I got pregnant. Everyone thought he loved me and praised the Zhou family for their upright traditions. But little did they know that he and Lin Qingqing had long been having a secret affair. But did Zhou Jing really love Lin Qingqing that much? I don't believe it. They say a wife isn't as good as a mistress, and a mistress isn't as good as a stolen affair. In this life, I will let the two of them be together every day, spending day and night with each other, to see if they are still as loving as they were in the previous life. As I was leaving, Lin Qingqing stopped me. Sister-in-law, look, you've been married for over 2 months now. Surely there should be some good news by now, right? She blinked at me. Zhou Jing is someone who loves children. Once there is a child, wouldn't his heart be on you and the child every day? I smiled knowingly. Thanks for the pointer, sister-in-law. I'll find a doctor to take a look later. But plans couldn't keep up with changes before I could announce the good news. Something happened. The next day, I happily attended a banquet I was invited to, but came back dejected in the evening. I happened to run into Zhou Jing returning from duty. As soon as I saw him, I forced out a few tears. What is wrong? He hurriedly stepped forward and hugged me. I messed things up. Sister-in-law is going to scold me. It is okay, I am here. Tell me what happened, and I'll figure something out for you. Didn't she say she discussed it with you? I let out an him. Yesterday, sister-in-law even told me to find a time in the next few days to announce the pregnancy news, so that when she secretly gives birth to the child, she can hand him over to me to raise as the legitimate eldest son. But when I went to the banquet today, I encountered a child falling into the water. None of the maids around me knew how to swim, so I jumped in and saved him. After I pulled him out, the host family was worried and insisted on having a doctor check my pulse too and brew some medicine. I lowered my head, feigning guilt. When the doctor prescribed the medicine, he specifically warned me, it is best to take this medicine for a few days straight to drive out the cold. Otherwise, it might hinder my ability to have heirs later. Also, no sharing a bed within the next month to prevent pregnancy. This is a good thing. Why would eldest sister-in-law blame you? But there were so many noble ladies present, and everyone is related in some way. Doesn't that mean everyone knows I am not pregnant? I covered my face and wept softly. By the time I can announce I am pregnant, eldest sister-in-law will already be far along. What are we going to do? After Zhou Jing heard me out, his brows knitted tightly, yet he could only comfort me. It is fine. I'll go talk to sister-in-law in a bit. I'll go with you, right now. With a good show to watch, how could I not go? What happened today really is a coincidence, though I had originally planned to get injured in some public setting and call a doctor anyway. Otherwise, why would I bother taking charge of the household and constantly going out to socialize? Zhou Jing was dragged along by me to go explain things to Lin Qingqing. Originally, when she saw us walk in holding hands, she couldn't even keep the smile on her face. As soon as Zhou Jing finished speaking, Lin Qingqing didn't even bother pretending anymore. Seeing her raise her hand, I pushed Zhou Jing forward. Slap. A slap fueled by rage knocked Zhou Jing's head to the side. Heavens! I hurriedly cupped his face. Husband, does it hurt? It is all red and swollen. I'll go call a doctor. Acting, who doesn't know how. My hand was grabbed by Zhou Jing. I am fine. I turned and questioned Lin Qingqing angrily. Sister, in-law, talk things out properly if you have something to say. How can you get physical? She looked at me in disbelief, wanting to come forward to check. I immediately spread my arms, blocking in front of Zhou Jing. Sister, in-law, it is my fault. I didn't do what I promised you. But how can you take your anger out on Zhou Jing? He just came with me to explain things to you. Lin Qingqing is used to calling the shots, and recently, because she is pregnant, Zhou Jing pampers her, and I let her have her way, causing her temper to get worse and worse, never again returning to her previous gentle and attentive ways. She yanked me away and fired question after question at Zhou Jing. I suffered so much for this child, and now it is all ruined just because she saved an outsider. You even comforted her saying it is fine. I just wanted to slap him. And you are that heartbroken? You couldn't wait to block it. What, is it because you see my looks have faded lately? You realized she is actually better looking? Don't get worked up. We can figure something else out. Zhou Jing tried to placate her, but seeing her plans for the future about to fall through, how could Lin Qingqing possibly listen? What solution? Like what you thought of before, get rid of it, or have it and send it away. She looked hysterical, raising her hand to point at me. Then why did I persuade you to marry her back then? To let you two show off your love. I've worked so hard managing this household for over 10 years. Why should I just hand it over to someone else? I suggested. How about, when the time comes, we just say he was born to my husband's mistress, and bring him back to raise under my name? No way, Zhou Jing refused, without even thinking. I haven't even been married for half a year, and I am already bringing back a mistress's child. The current emperor values moral conduct above all else. How am I supposed to keep my footing in the court in the future? I nodded. So that is how it is. They want their own child to inherit the Zhou family business. But neither of them wants to sacrifice their reputation. So they married a wife who is easy to handle, to act as a shield. Things reached a stalemate. Lin Qingqing pointed the finger at me again. Zhang Mingyu, did you do this on purpose? You promised me, yet you still went to save an unrelated child. Is a stranger's child more important than my child? If you didn't want to raise my child, you could have just said so. There was no need to play tricks. I always thought you were a simple and kind girl, and even put in so many good words for you in front of mother, in-law, and brother Jing, and yet you treat me like this. Everything today is just your side of the story. Who knows if this child even exists? I think you are just going back on your word now. Zhou Jing was swayed by her too, looking at me with dissatisfaction. I looked anxious and was about to speak, but I was interrupted by a servant shouting from outside. Master, the Marquise of Amping's Manor has sent a lot of gifts. They said the madam saved their little grandson, so they specially prepared some humble gifts to show their gratitude. Good things really do happen to good people. I instantly spoke up, feeling wronged. I didn't expect you to see me this way, sister-in-law. When you came to me back then, you said you were defiled by a scoundrel, and the child was innocent. Although I felt that for a chaste woman like you, sister-in-law, giving birth to a scoundrel's child wasn't good, I still agreed. During this time, I've done my very best to take care of things and manage the housework. Even these social engagements. It was because you couldn't go, sister-in-law, yet you instructed me to go socialize. I've worked so hard, I never thought you would think of me like this. Zhou Jing's face was full of guilt, and he wanted to come forward to explain, but I ran away crying. As I walked out the door, the sound of arguing was already coming from the room, accompanied by the sound of shattering porcelain. Actually, the struggles within the inner courtyard are just a fight for the master's heart. If the heart is biased, the winner is obvious. And this so. Called battle doesn't require any brilliant tactics, just striking at the root. In my past life, It wasn't that I didn't know about Lin Qingqing's hostility toward me, but as a fellow woman, I pitied her plight, so I tolerated her at every turn. In the end, she lost miserably. Zhou Jing and Lin Qingqing fell into a cold war, and Zhou Jing, perhaps out of guilt, kept finding all sorts of excuses lately to stay the night in our room. As time went on, he no longer wanted to just lie under the quilt and sleep. Fortunately, the person my elder brother recommended to me had already arrived in the capital. One packet of medicine every night, guaranteeing he gets whatever he desires in his dreams. To make it realistic, I even called for water every night, sometimes several times a night. Lin Qingqing wanted to pull her old tricks again, using illness to call Zhou Jing away. But Zhou Jing only replied, "If you are not feeling well, call a doctor." What is the use of me going? See, actually men know exactly what is going on. But this isn't enough. When Yingxing returned, I was doing my hair and makeup in front of the mirror. "Is everything taken care of?" She took the comb from my hand and replied while combing. When I left, Zhou Jing had just succeeded in playing the hero saving the beauty. Next up is the beauty offering herself to him. What do you think of this girl? Will Zhou Jing take the bait? You still don't trust my abilities, miss. Before taking action, I not only carefully researched Lin Qing but also found out about Zhou Jing's preferences. Miss, you'll know when you see this Lu Yun later. She is simply a charmer I tailor, made for Zhou Jing. Plus she is famous in the brothels of Jiangnan for knowing how to sweet-talk men. Yingxing tucked the last hair ornament into my hair and comforted me. Just wait and see them break up. I checked myself left and right in the mirror. Not bad, miss. I don't understand. The apothecary the eldest young master found is so skilled. Why don't we just simply poison them to death? As long as we do it covertly, it should go completely unnoticed. I stifled a sigh and turned back to look at her speechlessly. Two people dying in the manor at once. Do you take the old madam for a fool? Even if the old madam couldn't find out, do you think the yamen is just for show? Poisoning a court official, and my husband at that. Do I think I have too many people in my 9 clans? Then what about setting a fire, burn it all down? Do you think all these maids and servants in the manor are just freeloaders? I am afraid the fire would be put out before it even catches. Besides, don't they have legs? Won't they run? And can you guarantee this fire will burn exactly those 2 to death without hurting the innocent? She suddenly realized, that is true, Sai, but seeing them still prancing around in front of me every day just feels so frustrating. What is the rush? Isn't the good show just starting? I stood up to head out, thought for a moment, and turned back to give a reminder. You should read fewer picture books from now on. It lowers your IQ. The inner courtyard isn't a lawless place where you can just kill whoever you want. If it were that simple, would I still need to suffer in silence and play nice with them? They would have already given them a dose of sleeping potion and then slowly tortured them to death. But it doesn't matter. Sometimes, being alive is more painful than being dead. There is plenty of time. The show has already begun. Zhou Jing has been riding high lately because of the life-saving favor from before. The Prime Minister has been looking out for him in court. His career was smooth, and he was riding high in love. Even Lin Qingqing stopped making scenes lately, and went back to being all attentive. But with a new lover, why would Zhou Jing care about the old one? He got busy with work again, only now, instead of sleeping in the study, he was staying out all night. Him not coming back suited me perfectly, but Lin Qingqing got anxious. Lin Qingqing was pregnant, so she was already prone to overthinking. She came looking for me, beating about the bush. Brother Jing is so busy every day. Can his body handle it? Won't you persuade him, sister-in-law? After all, no matter how busy official business is, he still has to come home. I am not going to persuade him. It is unknown if he is actually busy with official business or not. If he really can't take it anymore, he'll naturally come back. I clutched my handkerchief, feigning anger. What did Brother Jing do to actually make the good-tempered you angry? Tell sister-in-law, and I'll scold him for you later. My eyes instantly turned red, and I said sadly, I suspect he is seeing someone else. Lin Qingqing suddenly grabbed my arm, and I let out a soft cry of pain. She hurriedly let go of her hand and asked, "That can't be. Everyone can see how affectionate Brother Jing is with you. You two are still newlyweds. How could he have someone else?" But the last few times he came back, there was always the scent of rouge and powder on him. Sister-in-law knows. I grew up at the border and am not used to these things. As for the women in the family, mother worships Buddha and sister-in-law is pregnant, so none of us use these. And, I stammered, appearing shy. Before, when sister-in-law was angry with him and stopped taking care of him, he would come pester me every night, sometimes even several times a night. But now he only comes back occasionally and still complains about being tired. A few days ago, I finally mustered the courage to try to get close to him, but I found a lipstick mark on the back of his neck. Lin Qingqing's expression darkened slightly, and she was just about to ask more. Just then, Yingxing came in. Upon seeing her before she could even say hello, she let out a cry of surprise. "Ah," I immediately scolded her. "What are you shouting for? If you startle sister-in-law, watch out or I'll punish you." "I am sorry, eldest madam. I didn't recognize you just now. I was wondering who it was." Yingxing hurriedly apologized in a panic. I also helped her explain. "Sister-in-law, sorry about that. This girl Yingxing has followed me at the border since she was small, so she has no manners and is always making a fuss. You've been keeping to yourself lately, and she hasn't seen you in a long time. She just didn't recognize you for a moment, which is why she acted like that. It wasn't on purpose. If it were before, Lin Qingqing definitely wouldn't forgive so easily. But today, she just found out Zhou Jing has a new woman on the side. Plus, with Yingxing's exaggerated reaction when she saw her just now, she probably made a connection. She raised her hand and touched her cheek. After pondering for a moment, she stood up to say goodbye. I watched her retreating figure as she hurried away, the corner of my lips curling up slightly. Pregnancy is hard enough as it is, plus her nutrition hasn't kept up. Her hair is dry and withered now, her skin sallow, and because she needs to hide her baby bump, she wears loose clothes every day. Zhou Jing has a beauty in his arms now. Even his visits to me are just like completing a task, so, let alone her men, you know, who doesn't like young, pretty girls? Especially since Zhou Jing was just at that age full of vigor. In the past, Lin Qingqing relied on her looks and knew how to dress up, having Zhou Jing completely wrapped around her finger. In the previous life, for her sake, he could even kill his own flesh and blood. To put it nicely, it is to avenge her child. But really, it is just an excuse to get rid of me. The two of them have really calculated this well. If I agree to Lin Qingqing's request, Lin Qingqing not only preserves the chastity arch for the Zhou family, but also keeps the child. If it is a son, as the legitimate eldest son, he can still inherit this family estate later on. If I don't agree, I am the villain, and the one Zhou Jing hates is also me. Yingxing stepped forward. "Miss, do you think she'll use that medicine?" "She will. For a beautiful woman, the most unbearable thing is for others to say her beauty has faded. If there were no solution, she could only grieve and reminisce. But now that there is a medicine to restore her youth, she couldn't possibly not be tempted." "Then do you think this CG pill really works?" "I heard that back in the day, Feyan and Hide relied on this medicine to monopolize favor in the harem. After using this medicine, your skin will be fairer than snow and your figure light and graceful. Your looks will be even more radiant. Since it is so powerful, then why is it still a forbidden drug? Because it is both medicine and poison. Get in touch with the apothecary soon. I reckon Lin Qingqing will be buying Shiji pills in bulk. You can ask for a high price. She has been running the Zhou family for so many years. She has got plenty of money. Miss, rest assured, I am no good at anything else. But when it comes to swindling money, that is my specialty. I guarantee I'll make your private stash even fatter." I thought for a moment. I'll ask the pharmacist to make some aphrodisiacs, the stronger ones, and you can help recommend them to others. Also, leak everything about Liu Yun's situation to Lin Qingqing. The war at the border is getting tense recently. Pass the word down that I am going to the temple to pray for my father and brothers for a month. Okay, I'll go prepare right now. Yingxing turned and left. Leaves in the courtyard spiraled above her head and fell. I looked up at the treetops, branches and leaves swaying. The wind has picked up. The weather is about to change. In the end, I still couldn't stay in the temple for a full month. Lin Qingqing was too impatient. Hearing that news got out about Liu Yun being pregnant, she took advantage of Zhou Jing's absence and went straight to her door. At first, Liu Yun thought she was the second madam of the Zhou family, thinking she'd need her approval to enter the household later, so she received her politely. But she not only brought people to smash up the house, but also tried to force abortifacient medicine down Liu Yun's throat, truly holding the status of a legal wife, yet acting with the mannerisms of a concubine. The commotion of their fighting alerted the neighbors, and someone reported it to the authorities. Now things had blown up. Not only was Zhou Jing's good reputation for keeping himself clean and doting on his wife gone, Everione also discovered that under the veiled hat was not the second madam at all, but Zhou Jing's steadfastly chaste widowed sister-in-law. So it turned out to be the sister-in-law leading people to catch her brother-in-law in an affair. The crowd began to point fingers. Liu Yun was even more relentless. When Zhou Jing arrived, in her shock and rage, Lin Qingqing actually threw herself directly into Zhou Jing's arms. Zhou Jing shoved her away. She fell to the ground, but her belly was bulging high. The women around who'd had children could tell something was up at a glance. Mother-in-law thought it was shameful and didn't want to deal with this mess. Zhou Jing sent several waves of people in one day to rush me back. By the time I leisurely made it home with Yingxing, the manor was already in an uproar. As soon as I entered the room, it was just a massive headache. Lin Qingqing was slumped on the bed in the inner room, crying uncontrollably. Zhou Jing sat in the outer room with a dark face, a medicine bowl next to his hand. Seeing me come in, he whispered to me, "We can't keep this child. You go persuade her." My eyes flickered slightly. So, rushing to get me back was just for this? What gives? Did I dig up his family's ancestral grave in a past life? That he is targeting just me to take the fall? Don't they know in their own hearts whether this child can be kept? Yet they insist on me coming back to make the call. I straightened my clothes and walked over to the bed. Lin Qingqing raised herself up, weeping silently. I asked, "Sister-in-law, you don't want to?" She froze, grabbed my hand, looking miserable. "This child is already 7 months along. If it is born, it might actually live. How can you have the heart to say something so cold-blooded?" "Yeah, 7 months. It might just live if born. But why didn't they let me give birth in my past life?" I fell silent for a moment. "Then go ahead and have the baby." Lin Qingqing was stunned, completely dumbfounded. She probably thought I'd try to talk her into an abortion, or even possibly straight up bring her a bowl of abortion medicine. I reassured her. "I know how much you love this child, sister-in-law. Even if it means committing the crime of deceiving the emperor and risking the execution of my entire family, I will help you. It is just that this matter caused quite a stir today. I heard people talking about it all the way into the city. Starting tomorrow, there will only be more people snooping around, both openly and in secret. It might even alert the authorities. I'll go arrange a carriage, sister-in-law. You should set off alone right now while it is dark. It is best to go somewhere far away where no one knows you. We can discuss what comes next after the child is born." After saying that, I stood up to go make the arrangements. Lin Qingqing was stunned for a moment. She opened her mouth, but only managed to say, "I can't travel far, let alone by myself." Of course she couldn't. For the past month, she not only increased her dosage of Shiji pills, but also clung to Zhou Jing without restraint. She definitely won't be able to keep this baby. If she keeps carrying on today, a miscarriage is just a matter of a day or two. But she couldn't say it, and Zhou Jing didn't try to talk her out of it either, because we all know, there is no thief. This is their child. They wouldn't dare. They feel guilty. Sister-in-law, don't be afraid. I'll arrange the gold, silver, jewelry, and fetus, preserving pills properly for you. I walked out of the room and looked at Zhou Jing, tears streaming down my face before I could speak. We gazed at each other. He sighed. You are too kind, Mingya. This child might cost our Zhou family dozens of lives, but I can't take that gamble. Zhou Jing carried the medicine bowl into the inner room. As for me, I went into the courtyard. This courtyard is huge, yet it is completely empty without a single soul. Faintly drifting to my ears were Zhou Jing's low roars and Lin Qingqing's wails. I looked up at the bright moon in the night sky. Everything was the same as in my past life, yet somehow different. This matter still ended up making waves in the imperial court, because there was no evidence, and since it was technically a family scandal, His Majesty did not issue any punishment. But Zhou Jing was no longer favored by His Majesty, and the Prime Minister's estate distanced themselves from him. This undoubtedly sent a signal to everyone in the court. His official career was effectively ruined. As for Lin Qingqing, though her life was spared, her health was nowhere near what it used to be. Now, let alone managing the household, she pants heavily just walking a few extra steps. I brought Liu Yun into the manor under the pretext of caring for her pregnancy. However, she miscarried not long after entering the manor. A woman from a brothel, how could she have the ability to bear children? This was just her means to get into the manor. But Zhou Jing didn't know that. He demanded to clean up the family discipline and investigate the matter thoroughly, which eventually led back to Lin Qingqing. In a fit of rage, Zhou Jing sent Lin Qingqing straight off to a farm in the countryside. He didn't even leave her a maidservant. Who knows how many days she'll survive? My mother-in-law scolded me for being bad luck and wanted Zhou Jing to divorce me, but then she suddenly suffered a stroke, paralyzed in bed and unable to speak. Zhou Jing came to visit once and never appeared again. I waited by her bedside every day, completely tied down, so I could only bring in a few more concubines for Zhou Jing. He had made a mistake in his official duties a few days ago and was stripped of his position. Now he only had the title of Earl left. He was utterly dispirited, gave up on himself, and started frequenting brothels. To compete for favor, the women in the manor are all using every trick up their sleeves. Those are all women I hand, picked from the biggest brothels, utterly bewitching and seductive. Zhou Jing is visibly wasting away, and at night, he is unable to perform. I heard from Yingxing that he is buying the medicine recommended to him more and more frequently. I just pretend I don't know. Zhou Jing can't produce a child with all his messing around anyway. At this rate, I reckon it won't be long before he dies in someone's bed. I won't get a divorce. I'll only become a widow, after all. Marriage. Well, it is just like that.